Welcome to the show, The Arts in Exile. We start with Christy Cantrell and The Mail.
Jonathan Mall at Art City reading his poem, Red.
Dr. Therum stops by with Spock's brain.
Raquel Baker reading a bit of her story, The Funeral Club.
She's so good. Michelle Rosenblum treats us with her guitar. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
John White's exhibit, Breathing.
Can't wait to see Anita Pouliere's poem, An Elegy for the Left Margin, with a little help from Myron.
Tony Simon's film, Telescope Highway.
And now, on with the show.
And on with the show.
So I just brought a few things from a bag. I brought a bag. It's transparent so you could see what's in it. See, this is from July 12th, 2021. Ooh. And it's some shoes I bought for my mom, 8.5, from mile 26, where they are obsessed with comfort. And here's a list of moves. The first one is chest isolations. I can demonstrate. Can you see that? Okay. Here's a little note that says, that's a horrible idea. What time? And it says grapes on the front. And it says, bring foyer table, bring more clothes, and bring framed photos on the back. Okay, I think I can separate that into things I've already done.
So this book, like I said, is in 3 sections. The first section is a series of epistolary poems written to my younger sister, who for the longest time was a missing person. She's been found, she's been discovered, and she and I are forging a new relationship, and so there's a happy ending in that way. But while I was writing these were one-way letter poems to her, not knowing if I would ever see her again. And she is the red in these poems. So they're all titled Dear Red. Dear Red, is there a memory of us laughing I can borrow, hold to my ear? Were we rolling? Was it even funny? Did we glimpse our time running thin and just give in to the sounds in our throats? Did you ever hear me lose something profound? A portrait? An explanation? Can you return it? Will you read me the story of the past decade? I'll keep quiet, make us tea, hold my questions. I'd like to tell you I've learned to use language, that I've been spending my time helping people use it. But the fact is, I know as much about these words as I do ants or tiger dentistry, which is to say, I am simply mouth making a donut, amazed I made it to 35 without falling into an open manhole or robbing a restaurant, moving to Denmark, which is to say, I've finally tried to be good. There was a small dog I rescued, scruffy and trusting, dug under the fence, devoured by coyotes anyway. Do you ever feel yourself speeding toward an unscenic ravine, thick with scrub brush, overgrown with heaps of smashed cars? I'll be the big brother here and remind you to be kind to yourself and others if you can. Buckle in. Let the wind make a flailing anemone of your hair. Make what sense you can, and know I will see you at the bottom.
Hi, my name is Raquel, and I'm going to read the beginning of my short story, The Funeral Club. Grandfather died today. The crackly voice of the PA system broke into our reading circle, ordering me to the office. I must have done something horrible. Maxine, I'm sorry to inform you that your grandfather has passed away, Principal Penny Pendola said. My grandfather? I echoed. Your grandmother will be here to pick you up. Please gather your things and wait outside for her, Principal Pendola said, looking back down at her pristinely paperless desk. Second graders can be so lame. They all stared at me silently while I collected my reader, my spelling book, my pink see-through zip kit with my pencils and erasers, and my Speed Racer lunch pail. Looking at Speed Racer and his palm-colored girlfriend Trixie both smiling up at me from the Paradise Blue lunch pail reminded me that I was the only black girl in class. Daddy wanted me to get the Fat Albert or Jackson 5 lunch pail, but I had to have Speed Racer. He's my favorite. Me and my boyfriend Georgie watch Speed Racer every day after school at 3. The big space between his parents' bed and the wall is our house where we live together and pretend we are a real married couple. We watch Speed Racer, and sometimes Georgie gives me a peck on the cheek, which is okay because we're married. Daddy always says, you gotta be smarter, faster, better than all them patty boys, Maxine. Daddy always calls white people patty boys, except when one of them is in the room. Anyway, I may be the only black person who some of these kids ever see, so I'm always on my best behavior, so they know we're good people. I always have to get things right. I had the feeling that since my grandfather had just died, I should be crying while gathering my things, but no tears came, not even just one. When Susie's grandmother died at the beginning of the year, her mother came and led her out weeping just like a little baby. But now for me, nothing. Katie's grandfather died too. She was out of school for a week. And when she came back, she wiped away tears and she told us all about the funeral. At the time, I thought she was being a big baby too, but now I see it's about doing the right thing at the right time. White people seem to be so good at that. I gotta learn how to do more stuff good and right like that. Maxine, Mrs. Rizzi snapped, her nose and upper lip scrunched together. Hurry up and carry your things, dear. Aren't you supposed to meet your grandmother outside? Yes, I nodded, trying to see over Mrs. Rizzi's shoulder to see if Susie and Katie were watching. Outside, waiting for my grandmother, I tried my hardest to cry. I thought of my grandfather. I kept saying, grandfather is dead, grandfather is dead. Grandfather is dead. But it was hard to feel sad. I never saw my grandfather. He was always in his room with the door closed, and we weren't allowed to disturb him. Sometimes coughing came out. Sometimes he called for my grandmother, and she would yell for one of us to watch the beans and make sure they didn't boil over. Once I heard him say my name. Maxine, how are you today? He said. That's when I realized he even knew my name. I never saw him eat or smile or laugh. And my cry muscles just weren't working right. I tried thinking of other things that make me sad, like when I get picked last for Foursquare, or when I don't get invited to someone's slumber party and everybody's talking about it on Monday, or that time when my first grade teacher, Sister Kari Dad, bit me because I didn't follow instructions. She just kept saying, can't you understand simple English, Maxine? I got sadder and sadder, but I still couldn't cry. 2 boys from the big kids' side of the schoolyard came walking past me. As they passed, the tall boy with yellow hair whispered, nigger, and laughed while elbowing his friend. Neither boy looked at me, but I knew they were talking about me. I thought maybe a nigger was a bad person who didn't cry when their grandfather died. Sometimes it seems like white people know everything just by looking at you. Thank you. Where? Change was forever as Mercury slides a triple cartwheel, archway to the celestial afterwards. Time is a slippery, silvery serpent this Tinseltown minute. Space is a perpendicular appointment with destiny,
and destiny is what remains outside the door, waiting to be delivered.
And I've got Band-Aids, if you need any Band-Aids. Those I'll save. I'm not sure about the receipt. That'll go in my mother's pile. I've got a pen, which could come in handy. Did I mention I have this fresh grill receipt for 2 egg and cheese burritos? I think they call them breakfast burritos. Finally, our neighborhood, what is it, food place, and finally found something I like there. Okay, but we can throw that away. I'm going to throw that away. Yes. Here's another list. Old-fashioned oats, coconut milk, tomatoes, chips, in all capitals, I'm not sure what that means, and crescent rolls. That's a bad idea. On the back it says cat heating bed, change cat box, get hair appointment, find knee pads, get tires checked, and 1-a-days. I think that's referring to gummies, like 1-a-day gummies. I like those.
One of the sponsors is the Community Memorial Hospital, and I said, well, that's a subject that I'm familiar with, and I said, yeah, I'll take it on. And you decorate, so I decorate the pod, and then I do something on the inside. So I said, well, I'd like to use a theme of an homage to the Memorial Hospital, because they've actually literally kept me alive, especially in ER, because I'm asthmatic. So you have the images on the outside that are flat and two-dimensional, and then on the inside you're going to have three-dimensional things. Not as a side issue, but as a really 2 parts that I'd like to discuss briefly that make that piece very rich for me is Phil Taggart doing the sound of me breathing and having an attack, almost on the edge of having an attack, and that's implanted in the nose. And then Phil again put out a message for the poets to come up with using the subject breathing.
Not even halfway through the hours, his fitful sleep, wheeze of a saber saw, waves receding on a rocky shore, breath whip-snaking down the chute until his body forgets how close the kingdom, one stalled gulp away. And I jostle his dying shoulder. He recoils, yes, rebels. Back now, mouth full of silver. What? He moans to darkness. What?
I just I've saved many things. You know, you come home and you've got stuff from the ER, and you've got thermometers, and you've got sticks and tongue depressors and things, and I've kind of put them in a bag, but who knows why? Just the artist. And now it's an opportunity. It has been presented an opportunity for me to make some sculptures that have to do with asthmatic objects that have to do with asthma, and a large nose that MB Hanrahan did for a performance that I did a couple of years ago, and I found it very appropriate to use for this Breathing Easy project, and that's the title of it. It's called Breathing Easy. You've got the outside that gives you a visual presentation of what it's like to have an asthma attack and what are the things that have to do with it, and then on the inside you get real close to it with the sound, and then the poetry pieces that are on all over the wall.
Dear Red, at the landfill, poking through the ruins, go back. This sliver of trash was perhaps a jug carrying milk in its breast like a waiting mother. And further, plastic beads, sweating, losing their shape in a pot of polyethylene soup. Go further. How much we owe to ancient bodies, to dinosaurs and the burning engine of fossils. The men in tractors don't care for me. I know there are signs about what I'm doing, but the dull hands keep waving me over. The burst refrigerators look somehow sexual, wide open in the dirt. What is this lamp with no bulb? Statue? Homage to shadows? The immortality of mirrors still catching light, even when the body is a bed of broken teeth. I convince myself that photos lying in dog bowls, crushed under tires, have copies somewhere, siblings across town or in a big city. The sun's rays bouncing from a satellite dish, warming a pile of vegetables. I convince myself that you are safe, that everything abandoned is kin.
Hush. Spellbound. Spiritual high. Keep on searching. There's a lot of jazz squares in that one. And here's a good one. Cry. 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 I'm saving that. That looks good. I'm putting that with the chest isolations and the hip bumps. This is a receipt from Vaughn's for, I don't know. I can't read it. And I've got my glasses on. I can't even read. Oh, I got some Vienna fingers. 2 packages. My mom's favorite cookie. Yep. Yep. They're not that exciting, but they have sugar. Snapper Jacks. Snapper Jacks. Have a snappy day. Fish tacos.
Elegy for the Left Margin. Farewell to your tidy, hemmed-in world. Adieu to the solace once offered the poet, the circus juggler, the architect. The odds are stacked against us. We fear the juggler's fiery balls, the architect's walls swaying in the gusts of terror, the poet's words wandering cyberspace for eternity. What choice but to break out? We salute you, honor you, reject you, move out of dusty teenage rooms, declare liberation, promise an occasional prayer, light a candle, express gratitude for letting us go, wave adios.
Dear Red, if what we forget says more than what we remember, then we have said much in our forgetting, each of us the dark spot floating in the other's eye, a single blurred moment drowning in a day. On the stove, my silver kettle spitting its insides over a spidered flame, or a bus unclenching at the stop, gathering us as strangers. My memory has cataracts, a black sky pocked with glowing mouths. I stare right at them. I build you from these spaces, wait for you to speak in the halls of our forgetting, something we can dance to, an offering I never gave you, a digging tool, a mollusk, a wind-up kangaroo, a poem you may fold into a star.
That's it for this week, and we hope you enjoyed the arts in Exile. See you next time.